So it wasn't really like an expensive travel experience. It was like a completely life-changing, very confronting experience in another way. When I showed up, it was my first mission. I had no expectation of what it would be. So I had no reference point. I didn't know if it was like normal, because I also heard a lot of volunteers, they'd spend 6 months in a tent at a refugee camp. So I was like, well, it's not a tent, it's an actual building. We had latrines. We didn't have actual toilets. And actually, when I told people this in other volunteers when I was on another mission, I'm like, yeah, we didn't have toilets. They're like, wait, what? You didn't have toilets? I'm like, no, just like latrines, just like with the metal corrugated siding, and it's just the hole. And these latrines are disgusting, full of flies and mosquitoes, always mosquitoes, and like all kinds of insects, because it's kind of like a jungle. I used to say that we're camping in a jungle, is kind of how it felt, in a muddy, very muddy, dirty jungle. But yeah, tons of bats. The bats would get into the latrine, and you're like in there, and it's like, oh my God, I hope this thing doesn't land in my hair, And then we had one shower among all of us. It was usually about 7 of us, and it was open air to the sky, cold shower. I've never heard of an MSF mission where you have a hot shower, and it was just kind of like this concrete wall that they built in the corner of the compound. It was like this really, really long compound, and they attached a shower head to like a big water reservoir, and just kind of like hung the shower over the wall. I mean, it worked, Being used to having technology available, it is frustrating if it's not available. I was in a very, very, shall we say, rustic living conditions for the expats, and we didn't have Wi-Fi, TV, anything. And the internet access was a little dongle, a little key, USB key that you plug in. It's very expensive, so we would use it only sparingly. To stay in communication with friends and family back home, I would write a very, very detailed email, which later on, they're like, oh my God, these emails were incredible. I can completely picture this muddy swamp that you lived in, and all these birds, and the monitor lizard, and the rats, and the mosquitoes, and the flies, and the bats. Oh my God, the bats. So I'd write this really long thing on my laptop, like on a Word document, and then copy paste it into an email. So it's like, I just send the email once a week with a big story, and I'm like, please write me back. Like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to write you back. So I kind of just adapted, and it was fine, because when I showed up there, I had no expectation about what the living conditions would be like, and it was my first mission with MSF, Doctors Without Borders, so I was like, okay, this is the way it is, got it.